Welcome to Perspectives Online and On Air from WFSU Public Media. I'm Tom Flanigan. This program pre-recorded on Tuesday, let's see, what is today? I have to look at my phone and see exactly what day it is, but it's a couple days before it actually appears on the radio and online. So we are unfortunately not able to include your calls and emails. We hope that that system that we're using now will kind of go by the wayside, and we'll be back in a regular studio environment before too terribly long and be able to talk to you in person as well as our guests. You know, even before the current pandemic hit, the capital region of North Florida and the adjacent counties around it were already contending with serious food insecurity. Certainly a lot has been said about the area's income disparity, and the fact that Tallahassee's 32304 zip code is the poorest in the state. But for far too many people all over the region, the prospect of a next meal can be an iffy proposition. So now with the coronavirus and the massive job and income losses that we're seeing, things are far worse. So we're going to talk about this on today's Perspectives. But we're also going to talk about the Herculean efforts of so many caring people who are working nonstop to make the situation better. We don't want to just be a Debbie Downer on this. There's so many good things that are happening here to try to get people back to a better place, and we want to give plenty of opportunity for those stories to come out too. Once again, we're using the Zoom platform to interface with our guests, and we welcome some esteemed educators in our area. First, Carmen Connor, who is principal of Pineview Elementary School. Madam Principal, it is so good to have you on. Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you very much for having me.
Fellow principal of Oak Ridge Elementary School is Jasmine Smith. Hi, Ms. Jasmine.
How are you? Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
It is wonderful to have you here. We welcome back Laurye Messer, from the beginning, a guiding light of the Full Summer Initiative. If you're not familiar with that, it provides summertime meal makings to the families in our community that depend on the breakfasts and the lunches served in the schools. Laurye, thanks again for all your help in assembling this esteemed panel here today.
You're so welcome, Tom.
And it would not be a party without Monique Ellsworth, CEO of Second Harvest of the Big Band. And Monique, again, without the hat and the shades and out there helping with the food distribution, it's so good to see you. And thank you for taking the time. I know you've had a killer schedule here in the past couple of months.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably goes for every person on this call and in our community. It's been wild times, but I'm so happy to be here with these wonderful women and getting the chance to talk with you today, Tom. So thank you for having us.
A quick update for Second Harvest of the Big Band. Where are you guys right now as far as the food distribution schedule? I see you're cranking one out just about every week for at least one, and sometimes multiple locations in the multiple county area here. How are you guys doing, and how's the supply chain that keeps your situation going?
Yeah, so what we immediately started doing was 8 direct distributions every week, and that was a slight modification from what Second Harvest was doing before. Of course, we're working to enable our partner agencies to kind of serve their communities, but we knew that Second Harvest needed to increase its visibility in the community so that people understood that we are here, we're going to serve, we're going to support all the 11 counties that we are responsible for. And immediately we started doing our 8 distributions weekly, and those are we're moving every single day. Well over 1 million pounds of food leaving our warehouse every single month to support people in our community who are in need. And recently what we've actually done is kind of adjusted our model a little bit. And we're looking to neighborhood and very specific neighborhood support, working really closely with neighborhood leaders and association leaders who are describing to us like the newfound difficulties that their particular neighborhood has and receiving the food that we're distributing. So we're being really flexible and accommodating and learning with our community. How do we serve, and where is the need, and how can we get very specific with the work that we do?
With 1 million pounds of food going out of your warehouse, though, are you getting a commensurate 1 million pounds of food coming back in from various sources?
Currently we are, yeah. So we've had a lot of support. Second Harvest is part of a statewide association, Feeding Florida, and then also part of a nationwide group, Feeding America. And so between and within those partnerships, we've been able to secure a lot of fresh produce, meat, dairy, so that we can make sure that we have a steady flow of food coming in. What we are seeing is exceptional long wait times. So food that in blue sky days prior to COVID, if I wanted to order a truckload of food, it might be 3 weeks for it to come in. If we are ordering a truckload of food today, it's around 9 weeks before it comes in. So we've seen a triple in the length of time it takes us to actually get the food that we order each day.
And then we're seeing some holes in that supply chain when it comes to things like some of the meat production out in the Midwest, because various processing plants are closing down because of COVID infections there. And that just further complicates everything that you folks have to deal with then.
That's really true. Also interesting things that happened prior to COVID, Second Harvest, we received about 250,000 pounds every month from our retail partners who donated product to us. And so what that might look like is Publix or Winn-Dixie, Albertsons, Piggly Wiggly's, they might have inventory sitting on their shelves that they need to turn over. And so what they look for are partners like food banks or other nonprofits that they can push that food to. And so Second Harvest, we built those relationships. And prior to COVID, we were getting about 250,000 pounds of donated product to our warehouse each month. And we've seen a very sharp decline in that simply because people are at home, they're out shopping for food. We're not seeing stalled inventory on the shelves at Publix any longer. In fact, it's moving a lot more quickly. So immediately what we were recognizing is we were going to have about a 250,000 pound of food decrease in certain revenue streams that we were used to receiving food through.
Yeah, but the need still remains high. Let's go around and do a quick roundtable with our school representatives here, starting with Pineview Elementary School's Carmen Connor. And Madam Principal, how important is the food program that you have at your school for the kids who go there? It's tough enough teaching virtually, but how do you do a food distribution virtually? You can't. You got to keep that going. So how's that been working for you folks at Pineview?
It's been working quite well since all of this started. We were initially serving breakfast and lunch to our students that could drive up to the school or walk to the school right after spring break. So at first, we started off Monday through Friday. And in addition to that, we provide meal packets that were provided to us by Second Harvest. So in addition to the children getting their meals, we also sent home a family meal each day. Over time, we're now at a point where we're still distributing food each week, but we're doing it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 10:30 and 12:30 now. And the numbers have not changed from the beginning of this time until this very day. We still have families that are depending on these meals. We have families that walk up. We have families children that ride on their bicycles to come to pick up their breakfast and lunch. And I never really understood the need. I knew that there was a need in our community, but now it's compounded itself, and our families, our children, they are in desperate need of food. And in addition to just coming to our cafeteria on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have a pantry box outside of our school. And if I fill it up in the afternoon on a Tuesday, within 24 hours, that box is empty because multiple families have come to that food box to get what they need. And it's every day that we go out and we use our items from our pantry to fill this box, but literally within 24 hours, it's empty. So in addition to what we have in our cafeteria and that together, there's still a desperate need for food in our community.
And under the best of circumstances, or should we say more normative circumstances, Carmen, how many kids qualify for the no-cost breakfasts and lunches that you serve at Pineview?
Our school is 100% free lunch. So all of our students, at this moment, we have 389 students, and each of those students get a free breakfast each day and lunch, and we get a snack too. The most interesting part about our school is we have a difficult time with attendance and a lot of tardies. And one of the big deals that we had throughout the school year is that a lot of our students, and I would say, when I say a lot, I would say a good 20% of our students come to school tardy each day, which means that they miss the time in which our breakfast is served in the cafeteria. So we've had to subsidize that and provide a walk and go breakfast for those kids because they come to school depending on having breakfast and lunch at school. And there, I could tell you story after story, but we've had children to come to say, you know, I didn't eat last night, so can I have 2 Pop-Tarts today? Because they are hungry. And that alone kind of just touched my heart and put us in a situation where we want to continue to help families in our community, which is one of the reasons why I just absolutely adore both Laurye and Monique, because they have been the answer to our prayers for providing food for our community. And without them, we would not be able to do that. So thank you, ladies.
Let's check in with Jasmine Smith over at Oak Ridge Elementary School. Same type of situation for you, Madam Principal, as Carmen has at Pineview. Pretty comparable there.
Yes, definitely comparable situations. When it was first decided that we weren't going to return to school after spring break, I have to say that at Oak Ridge, we're really blessed that we have great partners, and Thomasville Road Baptist Church is one of our faith-based partners. So as soon as the announcement was made, the pastor called and said, we're starting a collection of food, Clorox wipes, toilet paper, whatever your families need. We're putting a trailer out in front of the church. I didn't even have to call. The offer was just made. So we were able to have our families come to the school and give them those things because our families need food. They needed our support. The thing that was so touching is that word spreads throughout the community. And I think that Monique touched on that a little bit earlier. So we actually had families whose children didn't even attend Oak Ridge, who'd heard from cousins or other relatives that we were giving out food and supplies. And there was no way that we were going to turn those families away. So we were able to give a whole trailer of food to folks because we wanted to be sure that our kids and our families had what they need. And we haven't been able to, this will be our first year next year with the partnership with a full summer and having the food pantry at the school. But I have to say, just understanding as the principal, how important our school is in meeting the needs of our families in all kinds of ways. I'm so appreciative of the efforts of Laurye, very appreciative of the efforts of Monique. We've had the same meals that Carmen has had to offer to her families at our school, and it really has been tremendous. Anybody who knows anything about education knows that when you aren't able to meet Maslow's needs, kids can't learn. So away from school, when they're away from us and we aren't able to do that directly, we're so grateful that we have folks who can support us to help fill in those gaps. And I guess the thing that I'm thinking about now is, of course, everyone's seen that the announcement has been made that there won't be any summer programs in Leon County. So now just thinking about that piece and how that will affect our students, coupled with the summer learning loss that we know that may occur because no structured programs for the summer, no food. That summer program, summer camp that we've offered every year provides academic support for our students, but that was also 2 good meals that children were getting every day during the course of the summer. And so it's really hard for me to think about the fact that that won't be in place, but at the same time, because of the support that we're getting, we know that we'll be able to do something for our kids. And that is, I just can't say enough about how much that means to me.
Well, Ms. Smith, that is a wonderful segue over to Laurye Messer here. And Laurye, now 9 years with the full summer program. And usually it is a come one, come all, hundreds of volunteers gathered, usually in a facility like the Godby High School cafeteria. And the beans and the rice are flying and the music is blasting and people are under their hairnets are having so much fun packing the packages that are going to be distributed there to the kids in the area for summertime meals. You guys can't do that this year. So what? How do you do this?
Well, we had every intention, had already started fundraising for this beginning March 1st. Had people, we usually fill up. We open registration March 1st. We're usually filled up by the end of the month. So we had already collected a great deal of money for this event. It cost $15,000 to assemble the 60,000 meals. And last year we had money left over, and my partners, Becky Liner and Tracy Ippolito, and I sat and said, what should we do with this money? And that fits our mission. And so that was the first year that we decided, or actually it was Becky's idea, that we should sponsor a food pantry. So this year we're like, let's do two. Well, when we came to the conclusion that we couldn't do it this year during the coronavirus, we had a board meeting and we decided the need is greater than ever. How can we cancel that? We've got this money. So we decided that we would ask our donors if they would be okay if we kept their money and applied it to a virtual meal assembly. And I have to tell you, every single last donor without exception, we offered to give them their money back. And they said, no, we want you to keep it. We've raised more money this year than we've ever raised in the past. And I just got a call this morning from the church saying there's more checks. So it just goes to show you Tallahassee is a really great community. We come together when we need each other.
So how do you do the packaging?
Oh, well, there will be no packaging. Sorry. There will be no packaging this year because we can't do it in a safe environment. I think even, I didn't pursue it, but I'm betting even if we decided we wanted to go ahead, we always hold it at Godby High School. Principal Cole is wonderful to us. And I have a feeling that Leon County Schools would probably go, So what we do is we're just collecting donations, and every dollar we're saying equals 4 virtual meals. So we're just doing it virtually, and people have responded, knowing that next year, June the 5th, 2021, we'll be out there, the good Lord willing, as my grandparents said, dancing and assembling meals again. But this year we had to do something different. We had to adapt like everybody else has had to.
This certainly is not shameless promotion. Anyone who wants to kick in a couple, $3 or hopefully more, what do they do, Laurye?
Oh, good. I was going to say, I forgot to say this part. You can go to www.afullsummer.org. We have a big red button that says join our virtual meal assembly. Or if you want to mail a check, you can mail it to St. John's Episcopal Church, 211 North Monroe Street. The zip code is 32301. Just make sure you make the check made payable to A Full Summer, and you put attention A Full Summer on the envelope, and they call me and I go get them, and then I deposit them, and it's wonderful.
Easy squeezy.
It is easy.
Well, Monique Ellsworth, Laurye just brought into view that multiplier effect, because so many folks, they hear about a food pantry like Second Harvest and immediately we clean out the closets and, oh, here's some canned goods that are 50 years old. Let's donate those. We don't need them anymore. That is not the way of the world, though, that keeps you folks and similar kinds of organizations going. It is the cold, hard cash that you can leverage to create a lot where before there wasn't so much. Tell us how that works.
So although we love people to clean out their closets and give us things that they find, you're right. Right now, what we really, and actually what we don't want people doing is going out and purchasing food. We heard a lot about that from staff members saying they're getting phone calls, they're hearing voice messages on their phone where people are like, I'm going to the supermarket today. What can I buy you all? And that's really the last thing that we want people having to do right now, because the $5 that they might be spending on delicious and nutritious cans of meat or vegetables or fruit for us, we can actually, with our bulk purchasing power, it's really remarkable how much we are able to purchase on behalf of our donors. So what Laurye's talking about and the dollars that are being raised there, the opportunity for Second Harvest to make purchases in service to the mission of ending hunger, specifically with our children. Second Harvest is going to be able to fulfill that and really make an impact and provide opportunities to get food to people who otherwise wouldn't have it. So yeah, I couldn't be more excited. And this is my first year getting to see how, and I guess not even really how a full summer typically works, but seeing once again a community partner who is being innovative and adaptive and resilient and finding different ways to engage donors and spread the word about food insecurity and how we still have to now, and maybe even now more than ever, support the children in our community who are in need. So Laurye, thank you so much. I look forward to a day where you and I can hug. And this is it's a fabulous partnership.
Thank you, Monique. And all the volunteers. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
No. That's I was going to say this is an opportunity for everyone to get in virtual hugs today. So we can do that. It's possible. Well, Carmen Connor, I want to go around and really leverage here some of these community partnerships, because as much as Second Harvest of the Big Bend and Laurye with a full summer and multiple types of programs like that, and of course the Baptist Church out on Thomasville Road, got to throw a prop out for those folks, but there are many people who are involved in these kinds of things. For Pineview Elementary School, Carmen, are there any folks that you want to give special accolades to who have helped in this regard to make sure that the kids are fed and that the communities that they come from are also more food secure than otherwise they might be?
Oh, absolutely. This list could be really long, so I'll condense it and make it really small, but there are just people in our community, individuals that send check. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I just got a random check in the mail to say, hey, we're hearing great things, what you're doing with your students at your school, and here's $100 to help your kids during this time. And it's the most beautiful thing in the world. This is my second year being principal here, and I've never had to go out and fundraise in the schools that I have been at before, because it was just a different set of circumstances. But here I found that initially when I got here that I would have to go out and ask for help. Now the help just comes to us, and we don't have to ask anymore. And church, faith-based groups, churches in our community have just been so instrumental. Right down the street, like a stone's throw from our school, is Jacob Chapel Baptist Church. And they have been tremendously a huge help for our students in a variety of ways. They provided food for our children. They provide report card parties for us. So every 9 weeks, they have brought a pizza party to our school where they have ice cream and they celebrate our kids for just simply doing what they're supposed to do. They have provided, I cannot imagine, I can't even give you an example of how enormous this was, but during the school year, as you know, students start with their school supplies at the beginning of the year, where they have their backpacks and their pencils and their crayons. Well, by January, the crayons are little nubs and they're all mixed together and they're not nice and shiny anymore. And Jacob Chapel brought a semi truck to our school in January. And they told me we were bringing school supplies to help your students, but I didn't realize it was like that. But literally, they turned our conference room into a Walmart where our teachers were able to replenish the items that had been overused by that point. I could tell you story after story about how Jacob Chapel has helped us. Unity Baptist Church right down the street, a very small Baptist church a little bit farther down the street, has helped us from the moment that I've stepped here on campus. But individuals, businesses within the reach of our school, everyone has just shown a lot of love to our school. And it's the most beautiful thing, because schools like our schools, we have a hard time fundraising and generating dollars to support just the small things for our kids, like a pizza party or the teacher appreciation gifts. And what makes that happen for our school is the community wrapping their arms around us and being so generous in providing everything that we need. There's nothing that we can ask for at this moment, because it's been provided for us, because people are just so good to us. So grateful is all I can say.
Wonderful. Over at Oak Ridge Elementary, Jasmine Smith, any folks that you'd like to give
Yes.
special recognition to?
Yes, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do so. I already gave a shout out to Thomasville Road Baptist Church, which has just been a tremendous faith-based partner. And really, you know, these folks are more like family at this point than just partners. This isn't just about writing checks. These are people who come to our school, pray for our kids. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but pray for our kids. Downtown Community Church, Crossbridge Christian Church, Bible-based church. They're always here, always. And it doesn't matter what our needs are always supportive. We are grateful for the partnerships that we have with FSU and FAMU. Carmen and I could tell you tons of stories about Calla over at opening nights and the things that she's done to support us in being sure that our children have the opportunity to experience the arts in the different way. One of the programs that I am most proud of here, and it is a partnership that we have with the Tallahassee Women's Club and the Greater Federation, of Women's Clubs. It's a program that we call From the Nest to the Sky. And they actually started with a class of kids that are going to 3rd grade next year, but they adopted them, so to speak, in kindergarten. And they've stayed with that class of kids with the goal of seeing that 100% of them would be reading on grade level by the time they went into 3rd grade. And tremendously successful. I can't say enough about the relationships that have been built, but they loved it so much that they're signing up for another group of kindergartners starting next year. So there are those kinds of things. And I don't know, I get really choked up thinking about how wonderful our community is, but also just the understanding that this is so much more about the giving of funds, but just understanding that with these opportunities and support, our children can be just as successful as any kid anywhere in Tallahassee. And everyone who works with us understands that piece.
Mm-hmm.
Given the current circumstances with having to do instruction virtually, that leverages in just an additional challenge. Without those kinds of underpinnings for schools like Pineview and Oak Ridge, that challenge becomes even more daunting than I can even imagine it being. So that's really, really good news. Laurye Messer, you already talked about, of course, the folks over at St. John's Episcopal Church, but a full summer has had a long list of supporters since the very, very beginning. So you don't have to read them all off, but if there's any special shout outs that you want to give us now.
Yes, First Baptist Church of Tallahassee has always been a major supporter of this endeavor, not only with dollars, but with also volunteers. We've had Killearn United Methodist Church, Pisgah United Methodist Church every year. They send in a donation with a noisy offering they take for an entire quarter. So that quarter will end in July for them. So we'll have more money in July to give to Second Harvest after this is all over. There are businesses, there are law firms, there are individuals, there are clubs, Tallytown, 80K, the sorority for teachers who have a heart for kids. I could go on, and I know somebody who's listening to this is going to go, she didn't mention me, and I apologize for that. But I will tell you that everybody who participates in this, businesses, individuals, groups, I know that they do it because they care about our community, not because they don't get any publicity out of this at all. It is absolutely caring about your community. For a business, they may get some goodwill from their employees because they have a good time with the team at a full summer. But I think that everybody who is in that room cares about children and the children that Carmen and Jasmine were talking about. That's one of the reasons we have it at Godby, is because we want to be in the area that some of the kids maybe are recipients of this food. So I think things like this draw an awareness and bring our community together, because there is kind of a kid going to one school may not even realize that there are children who need free or reduced lunches. And to just draw awareness to a problem helps make it, I'll say one more thing and I'll hush, but like the pantries, I had a friend who's a volunteer with the Full Summer saying, well, what do I need to do to sponsor a pantry? And she and her sister are getting together next year and they're sponsoring a pantry on their own. So all it takes is somebody who sees a problem and they can do something about it.
Can we quantify, Monique Ellsworth, this problem when it comes to the impact, though, of the coronavirus, like kind of pre and post pandemic, and its impact on Second Harvest of the Big Bend and the folks that you serve in the multi-county area? Have you seen an increase, a geometric, arithmetic, however you want to calculate it, increase in the need for food services in this area since the pandemic hit?
What I know at this point is that prior to COVID, the number of people who, and actually I'll pause and say, you touched on this a little bit, and we use words like food insecurity. And I think it's important to distinguish between hunger, which it's just a little after 1 o'clock, I'm hungry, as like a physical like feeling, like I can feel hunger. But I am food insecure if I don't know where I'm going to get my next meal, or if I don't have regular access to nutritious food. That is an individual who is food insecure, that they have no way to resolve the feeling of hunger. So individuals who are food insecure, and because of either economics or transportation issues, being in a food desert, they don't have access and regular access to nutritious food. There were 100,000 people in the Big Bend, 11 county area who sitting here at lunchtime don't know where they're going to have dinner. And of those 100,000 individuals, 25,000 of them are children. And of the 25,000 children across 11 counties, over 10,000 of them are here in Leon County. They're here in Tallahassee. And what we know as we kind of watch as COVID kind of like robs families of jobs and individuals who are not food insecure 4 weeks ago, that they were proud, they had jobs, that they were able to bring home money and support their families, and they did nothing wrong, and they have lost their job. And now all the financial security that they had has been ripped from them, and they are finding themselves in a moment in time where they've never experienced this before. They don't understand the landscape of Tallahassee or Gretna or whatever city that they're in, the landscape of social services, and how do they make ends meet during this really difficult moment for that family. Across America, we're seeing about an average of 60% increase of the individuals who are food insecure. Because of how rural Tallahassee and the surrounding areas are, we could anticipate that to actually be higher in our area. So Second Harvest, we are working to stand prepared to meet the need as we learn of it, to have our ear open to neighborhoods who are in need. And actually, like, because, you know, Carmen and Jasmine had the chance to kind of talk about, and Laurye, about the people who've been amazing, I want to make sure to kind of pour some love on them. Not only are Pineview Elementary and Oak Ridge a conduit for Second Harvest to get food out. I know that we were there doing food distributions in partnership with them, both just last month. And like what Jasmine was saying, is that it's open to individuals in the community beyond just the children that are attending school there, but they have partnered with us in resolving hunger, not just saying we need help, but like we want to help. We want to participate in that. And that's been really beautiful. And even last week, or it was 2 weeks ago now, we were hearing, Second Harvest was hearing from neighborhood leaders, specifically from the Providence neighborhood, about the need that that particular neighborhood had and the limitations they had to receiving food. It's a predominantly walking neighborhood. Transportation was going to be a barrier. The location of our typical distributions was farther than it was safe for someone to walk or ride a bike during like the heat of summer right now. And I immediately called Carmen and I said, can we do something at Pineview? And she opened up the elementary school there to serve as a location where Providence neighborhood could help take care of itself. So the innovative thinking, the way that all the women on this call are finding ways to support and resolve the issues as they come up, to pivot ways that we are fundraising, is just remarkable. And we live in an amazing community, and I'm just really proud to be able to serve alongside of everyone on this call and so many others who participated in the ways that we respond to an issue that has no time limit and has no quick fix, and there's no rule book that was given to any of us. And luckily, there's just a lot of love and a lot of flexibility and forgiveness as we kind of navigate these waters together.
And Carmen Connor, as Monique said, for situations, neighborhoods like Providence, which we're neighbors. Hey, we back right up to y'all here in the Providence neighborhood at WFSU. We're just a few blocks away. What are you hearing back from the community, though, as far as the impact of this virus on them? Because so many of these folks, they cannot do what we are doing. They cannot work from home. They've got to be out there in the trenches if their job still exists and doing what they need to try to keep food on the table and the family together and all that. What do you hear?
You know, that's been one of the things that has solidified one of my optimal goals for being here at Pineview, is that I wanted to make our school a community school, but to feel like a family. And what I've learned in this short period of time is that our families do feel that connection with us, because we get calls on a very consistent basis of parents that are in need. We have, I could tell you story after story about moms that have called to say that, hey, are you open for us to come visit your pantry today? And they bring their luggage to come and pick up what they need so that they can take it home because they don't have cars. But just the sheer level of a parent calling and saying, hey there, Mrs. Connor, can I come by today to come get some things for the family because we don't have our food stamps yet? A touching story that I shared with Jasmine a few weeks ago, right when all this started, this was like that last week of March, I had a mom to call to say, Mrs. Connor, I need your help because I don't get my food stamps until March. No, it was April like 17th, something like that. And she said, and we really need food. And I said, okay, sure, you can come by the pantry. She said, well, my husband was laid off of his job, and he has the car, and he's working at day labor just to be able to support us living in this hotel. And it broke my heart. And I said, well, you know what? We have a school van. We'll come bring the food to you. And she said, okay. And in that conversation, she said, but one thing, you only can bring food that we can warm up in a microwave. And we gathered food that she could put in a microwave. We went and bought some bread to go with the peanut butter and jelly that we have. But this mother has 6 kids, and they were supporting themselves the best way that they could. And she felt comfortable enough to say, hey, we need your help. In that same conversation, she says, but when I get my food stamps on the 15th or the 17th, whatever date it was, she said, I'll replenish the food that I've used. And I said, oh, no, we have more than enough. And this brings us joy to be able to do this for you. But there's story after story just like that. We've gone to multiple hotels to help families in need. Parents come here every day, even outside of the Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We have families that come here to our help shelf outside, but they also make appointments to come see us too. The need is there. Many parents are doing the best that they can with what they have, but it's just not enough at this time. And there has just been an overwhelming response of a need. And thank goodness that we've had this cushion. I mean, Laurye came, we met this summer. I had never heard a full summer, and it was the best conversation ever, but that has helped us tremendously to keep our shelves stocked. We have more than enough food. But the best part is we can get more if we need it. And we're able to provide a need to families in our community that I don't think existed here before until this time. Now we know that there's a need, and I will hope to ensure that we can sustain this in the future for our family.
Thank you. Well, Ms. Smith, this is not a competition. I won't ask you to top that, but any stories you'd like to share?
And you know, it's kind of difficult for me to even gather my emotions to speak after that. The thing that I will say that I think that is really important in all of this is just the importance of relationships, because parents want to be able to take care of their children. It is the thing that all parents want to be able to do. And so for parents to be able to feel like they are comfortable enough with us to trust us, to speak openly, and understand that no matter what they need, there isn't going to be any judgment. We'll find a way to make those things happen, with being sure that people are able to retain their dignity. So nobody's looking down on you. No one's judging you. No one's thinking that they are better than you are. This is all of us. This is really us taking care of our family members. And that's what it's about. And it is my prayer. I enjoy being the principal at Oak Ridge, but it is my prayer that if I ever found myself in a situation, that someone would do the same for me. And I guess that's really all I can say about it, with getting a little bit emotional. So I'm going to stop right there.
Oh, well, that is something. And Laurye Messer, you've seen this too, particularly in these circumstances that we have right now. People who never thought that they would be in this situation. I've got a good job. I have a wonderful education. I've got all these things. And yet you're a paycheck or two away from total catastrophe. And there are people, I think all of us can name at least a handful of folks who find themselves in this position right now, and they never thought they'd be there, and there but for the grace of God or any of us.
You're absolutely right. And I think things that have happened like this, and hearing stories like this, creates a community of empathy. Sometimes people don't have empathy for others because they're not in everyday contact with someone who may be on the receiving end of help. But when you get to be in that situation, you know, you understand a lot better people who have to go through it. So even if you're not experiencing the situations where you've lost a job or anything like that, just knowing that there are people out there that you know, are losing their jobs or having to search for food, I think that's a good thing for us to try to find those people and to help in any way that we can.
And Monique Ellsworth, every time I've come to one of the food distributions that Second Harvest of the Big Bend is involved with, I talk to at least 2 or 3 people who just say, man, I never thought I'd be in this line. Are you kidding?
Okay, I'm muted. So I want to comment on a couple of things. I have a theory that proximity is like the most important thing that you can do. Is if you put a problem out there that people can touch and they can feel and they can see, suddenly that that empathy and that care and concern about something becomes real and personal. And potentially a gift that COVID will leave us with is that food insecurity has bubbled up to be something that every community across America and potentially the world is discussing. And the fragility that the families in our community consistently live with is being exposed. And perhaps what we will find is a softer community, a more understanding community, a more empathetic community that understands how families live in the margin at times. And they struggle to make really difficult decisions each month with a limited income. How do I manage all of the expenses that exist for us? I know that at one of our distributions at TCC, there was a van that came through with a family in it, and the van broke down, and other folks in line came and tried to jumpstart the van, and they pushed the van out of the way, and AAA ended up having to come and take the van to get fixed. That family, if Second Harvest wasn't there, would have to make a decision, and among all of the other debts that they may have and bills that they need to pay and difficult decisions that they are juggling, they now have a car payment and a car repair and lack of transportation. And then you add on needing food to put on the table, you're really making tough decisions about how do you prioritize what is, in most cases for individuals, a limited budget. And it's not an exorbitant amount of flexible cash to be used each month. But luckily, those folks, they lost access to their vehicle in line to get food. And we could at least take one one headache, like one painful decision off the table for them, and they got to leave. We packed the cab of the AAA truck full of food, so that they would have food available to themselves when they got home. That is what Second Harvest is here for. And to the point of people having self-judgment and the shame that they might be feeling in this moment, this does not define you. If you're watching this video, this moment in your life does not define you. This is not a mark against who you are as an individual. If you need assistance, this is where partners like Pineview Elementary and Oak Ridge and TCC Distributions and what a Full Summer is working to do, and agencies like Second Harvest of the Big Bend, we are here to be in that gap, to be a stepping stone between the moment that you are in right now into greater like self-sufficiency and stability that you know that you can get to, and we can help you get there. And that's what we're here for. So I love the comments about the proximity and the gift that this may leave us with, and the need for a community who recognizes the fragility that so many people live with, and the compassion that's necessary for us to give our neighbors. And when you're in this moment, the compassion you should give yourself.
And the ability to give back if you are in a position to do that, because regardless of your spiritual background or faith tradition or anything else, just about everybody believes in some form of karma. We may not call it that, but there is that commonality in just about all human philosophy that what you give out will come back to you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Folks, just a few minutes we have remaining in our virtual perspectives here from WFSU Public Media, and let's go around and get some final thoughts and comments from our panel. Let's start with you, Carmen Connor, principal of Pineview Elementary School. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
A mini conversation we had right before this, Monique brought up, we were talking about how this time with COVID-19 and how things have changed and will be very different in our future. But this pause is what Monique shared with us, that this pause is a great thing in a lot of ways. That, you know, personally for me, it's a lot of time that I'm spending with my family that I normally wouldn't, because everybody's so busy. But for me in this workspace and in our community, it's given me a different lens to look at our community with. I knew that there was a need here. I knew what type of need we had, but when you're just focused on educating the child and feeding the child where you're here, now I see something far greater than what I saw before. And I now feel that the connections that we've made in the community can help us be a better ministry of our students, of our community, to help them through this time. Ultimately, I know we'll be in a better place than where we are now, but there's this connection that we've made, this level of family and community, that it has been solidified because of what we've gone through. I feel like that we have truly made a connection in this short period of time of being here at Pineview. We've truly made a connection with our families. Our families feel comfortable with us, and that overarching thing is like one of the best things you can have when it comes to educating children. So I think this sets the stage for a great future that we're going to have when we go back to whatever our new normal is going to be. I'm grateful for the ladies on this panel. We're friends in a variety of ways, but you all are just an inspiration because of your leadership, but also to be that connection to help us help others. It is a beautiful thing to be able to pick up the phone, answer the phone, and if someone needs it, I have exactly what they need and more, and we can provide that. And that's because of you guys. So thank you all very much, and thank you for this opportunity to share. I love to talk about our school, and this has been a wonderful experience, even though it's very different. It's been a wonderful experience being able to help others. So thank you, ladies, again.
Thank you, Carmen Connor. Off to Oak Ridge Elementary School and Jasmine Smith. Your thoughts, ma'am.
Yes, thank you again for the opportunity to be with you this afternoon, and I look forward to the future at Oak Ridge. This has been a very different period in education, but I think my takeaway is that relationships, I've said that several times, during our time together this afternoon, how significant relationships are. And I can't say enough about our teachers and the way that they have been working to stay in constant communication with our children. Sometimes hosting, everything isn't about education. Sometimes just doing check-ins so that they can see how the kids are doing, or giving them the opportunity to socialize with each other virtually. I am so proud of our parents during this period of time, how committed they have been to being sure that they've stayed in communication with us. I just got a little notification a little bit ago that in the time that we've been out of school, we use an app called Epic. Our children have read over 3,000 books online. I don't even have the words to say how proud I am of that piece. All parents want their children to be successful, and it is relationships like the one that I'm building right now with Monique and Laurye that are going to be really significant in being sure that we can meet the needs of our families in all ways. My final words, and this is just a thank you. There are lots of folks who get thanked, and we've talked about food and that kind of thing. I just want to say thank you to my cafeteria manager, Claire Guinea, who has been out there every single day over this break, being sure that families are fed. And to all the cafeteria managers and workers all over Leon County, just know that we appreciate you, and your hard work and commitment has not gone unnoticed. That's a group of folks that have really helped to be sure that this train has been rolling this whole period of time. So thanks to all of those folks.
And we thank you, Principal Smith. Laurye Messer, one more plug here for a full summer modified.
Okay, so we're having a virtual meal assembly. It is going on until June the 6th, which would have been our physical meal assembly had we been able to have one. You may join our virtual meal assembly by going to www.afullsummer.org. You'll get all the information that you need there. And one last plug, thank you to all of the women on this panel, as well as all the agencies, whether it's food or homelessness or elder care. These agencies are working incredibly hard. And thank you to our volunteers for Full Summer.
Thank you. And
Thank
Monique
you.
Ellsworth, you get the final word today.
I'll unmute myself. So thank you all, everyone that's on this call, for the partnership, the innovation, for being examples of what resiliency looks like. And I think that that's something that I found profoundly beautiful in all of this, is the examples of resilience that you see within the nonprofit community, within the for-profit community, in our government, in fundraising platforms. It's been, I feel really blessed to have been able to participate in several of those aspects. I think that Tallahassee and the Big Bend region will emerge from this, and will move into our standard business as usual, whatever that might look like, a stronger community, a more compassionate community, a more flexible community. And as the great pause comes to a close, we all have the option to add back into our lives the beautiful pieces that maybe we got the chance to look at a little bit differently, and we get to invite those things to remain with us, and to prioritize the things that we have found kind of were our anchor, the things that comforted us during this time, because it's been uncomfortable, it's been scary, it has shaken so many people to the core. If it hasn't been you personally, you have watched it no doubt happen to people around you. And so I look forward to the way that we move forward as a community, and I have great hopes and trust that it's going to be, we will be stronger and better than we have been before.
Great stories and great caring folks here today. Thank you all for being part of this Virtual Perspectives from WFSU Public Media, which is produced by the same in Tallahassee. Thanks to Taylor Cox, Paul Dam, Amy Diaz de Villegas, Tricia Moynihan, and Lydell Rawls. We appreciate our Director of Content, Kim Kelling, setting up our program interface and keeping us all directed while we're distanced. No easy task. And I'm Tom Flanigan. Last November, 19-year-old Trent Lee of Tallahassee was shot and killed as he was leaving the North Florida Fair, and there remain many questions about his death, and This also focuses the spotlight on the racial disparities in not just the criminal justice system, but also our society at large. We're going to talk about it all next week, right here on Perspectives.